When I first saw the Sackler 100 tripod on,
Oh, what? Is this allowed?
For the past 3 years, I've been walking to class, avoiding vomit on sidewalks, trying to fit in as a slightly older student, writing papers, working odd jobs, running, freelancing, trying to talk to girls, vomiting on sidewalks. But as of May, I've graduated. My college years are over, and I'm expected to have a real job. And today, I'm 26 years old. My job is now the main reflection of my identity, and regardless of what I do, I feel the need to rationalize it, because I've been told time and time again that I can do anything. I can change the world for the better if I work at something I really believe in, and I have a responsibility to do something meaningful with my time on Earth, to make an impact. That's success. At least, that's been my version of it. But I'm not sure that's the full picture. It's a bit of a long story, let me back up. In college, I found a passion for video production, and I took every opportunity I could to build that skill set. But I had a tendency to overwork myself to prove I had meaning and worth, which only made me anxious. I often had the kind of anxiety that sits in your stomach and weighs on your chest, and I had to hide it, because no one around me seemed to be struggling with it, but the fact I was made me feel worthless. In January of this year, I met Ken Woods, a guy from my hometown that co-founded a water well drilling nonprofit in Africa. He was headed to Tanzania in May and needed a hand boosting their marketing. Telling stories of organizations like Ken's fighting the water crisis in rural Africa was a dream job. The reason I went to college. I had to go for it. But in April, I had every reason in my mind not to go. From everything I'd seen, going to Africa, a place with malaria, waterborne illness, poverty, social unrest, Ebola, was not the place for rest and recovery. I felt burnout and unhealthy. I was legitimately scared, but thankfully I have a crazy rational support network, and I had a free plane ticket, and the awareness that I needed some change. So I packed my drone, a month's worth of tuna fish, and said, "F*** it. This will be a lesson in facing uncertainty." The trip's goal was to drill as many wells as possible in 1 month in the Tunduru district. Ken's nonprofit partners helped to target communities in need. Then Ken would lead his team of 5 Tanzanians to drill boreholes, basically holes as deep as 125 feet to access groundwater underground. Then hand pumps would be installed so villagers wouldn't be dependent on contaminated surface water. Every day we'd wake up at 6 a.m., drill in 3 or 4 villages till it got dark, even after dark, through blistering sun, malfunctions, and swarms of killer bees. Villages would gather around the rig as we drill. Women danced to celebrate. Kids absolutely lost their minds when they saw the drone. But even as I hiked with women for miles to get water, or attended schools with 3 faculty for over 500 kids, experienced a daily life that seemed like it'd have to be miserable, I saw smiles and laughter everywhere. I felt like I should feel sorry for them for their circumstance. Mostly I couldn't shake the fact that they definitely had something that I didn't. How can I have the capacity to feel anxiety to the point of misery in a Panera Bread, and people here have the capacity to feel immense joy? Villages seem to trust and support each other. We were bringing water to people who needed it, so every day felt like a celebration. I'd play with the kids, get chased by hundreds of them, and a chicken. And just engage with people that were genuinely interested, good-natured, and joyful. My camera was stolen from our hotel tonight. A body and a lens worth $3,000, and 4 days worth of photo and video just gone. I ended up in a police station, and the cop with a machine gun took me to the back room, sat me down, then mostly just asked me about college and life in the US, and asked me to take a selfie with him. Not sure I'm getting it back. Ken has had open heart surgery twice, a major health concern, and despite working 12-hour days in hot remote conditions, surviving off of tuna crackers, behind huts, and dealing with nearly impossible logistics, he seems to be fearless. I've never seen him lose clarity that 27 million Tanzanians don't have access to safe water, and that's wrong. Let's fix it. I admire that clarity, but I don't have it. How are you supposed to know what's necessary to worry about to get things done versus something that's outside of your control? How can he take on an issue affecting 27 million people and remain unshaken? I think the question of how can people be joyful in Africa is similar. There seems to be a greater awareness of mortality and the forces that sustain life here, and how completely out of our hands those forces are. I think awareness of that clarifies what's actually worth worrying about. The kids in Tanzania are just as playful as I was, and will grow up to have the same spectrum of emotions, the same ability to reason, and the same certainty that they'll die that I have. Even though my life is different, Tanzanians are powerless to the situation they were born into, like me, and strive for the same sense of restfulness and joy that I do. And as a human, joy can exist in the smallest moments or the most meager of situations. Now, 5 months later, I'm home. My college years are over, and I'm expected to have a real job. A degree in advertising taught me to construct stories that associate a brand with an audience's needs and feelings. And constructed stories are everywhere, and collectively they create the predictable, comfortable world that I live in. But my degree didn't explain how the world of content that I'm helping to create affects me, or how to deal with experiences that are uncomfortable, unexpected, and imperfect. A video that I edit for Lifetime Wells International won't capture the complexity of life in Tanzania, or how difficult this work is for Ken and his team. It doesn't capture the breakdowns or the difficulty of drilling in undocumented rocky terrains, or having to consider the sustainability of a well without reliable systems of education, political representation, or infrastructure.
They say they drink this water with no boiling. So if you want to stop the disease, you tell them do not drink any water without boiling.
Or the country's context of colonialism, slavery, or our privilege as Americans. Instagram only allots me 60 seconds to tell their story. And highlighting the uncomfortable, chaotic, imperfect process of drilling a well in Africa doesn't encourage donations. But it's a reality that accompanies every incredible, calculated, and life-giving well that they drill. And my posts on Instagram throughout college didn't show me worrying about my sanity, my masculinity, or my health, but they're the reality that accompanied the half-marathon medals, the drone shots, and drinking with friends. There's no question that Lifetime Wells International is changing lives, but I still can't wrap my head around the experiences that Tanzanians face. And I wonder if packaging the water crisis into something that's solvable by simply clicking donate on a website is disconnecting us from how complicated and how connected to these problems we actually are. The same way that seeing the polished versions of my peers disillusions me to thinking that my own brokenness isn't shared or justified, and will be fixed by doing more or buying something. My story from a month in Tanzania doesn't directly contribute to water relief or offer any profound insights. It mostly focuses on me and my anxiety and longing for acceptance. But it's my story, and telling it honestly and fully helps me to rationalize it, and to see past it. To understand that I'm just one of 7 billion other mortal, fallible humans on this planet. And for that reason, I'm just as worthy of joy and restfulness as anyone else, regardless of their success or mental state. At the same time, I can be open to the reality of my own privilege, the systems that sustain my life and how those systems and our planet work. And the more I understand that, the more clearly I can see the injustices that others face. And I can use my gift to learn to fix them, like my main man, Ken Woods. So all that to say, I don't know what my career path will be, but I know that none of them are perfect. And as far as I can tell as of today, meaning and success come with honestly sharing my own imperfect story with others, so that I can connect and learn from their stories, and turn to a fresh page every day to write with more awareness than the day before.
How's it still hot?